Culture Minister Des van Rooyen has urged municipalities to service their bulk accounts so that they do not prejudice people who pay for their services. Van Rooyen was responding to the current challenges that some municipalities are faced with regarding their Eskom accounts. Now, some municipalities continue to default from the ministry, that is a brokered agreement entered with the Eskom. The power utility has since issued the defaulting municipalities with supply agreement, breach of notices, which were to be followed up by the disconnection notices. Meanwhile, the DA has requested the AG to investigate mismanagement at non-paying municipalities. Now, joining me in studio to discuss this further is the Culture Minister himself, Mr. Des van Rooyen. Minister, very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7.
Good afternoon, also a very good afternoon to your viewers.
Now, the issue of our defaulting municipalities has been going on for a while now. You have asked them to either pay up and honour their agreements with Eskom. Do you believe that this will alleviate the problem?
Yes, indeed. As you know, this, as you've correctly said, this is a matter that has been raging on since 2009. Right. And I must indicate that with the observations that we have made, working together with the Department of Public Enterprise and, of course, Eskom itself, and affected municipalities through their provincial leadership, we have established that to a larger extent, municipalities are not the same in terms of the tariffs that they charge. Municipalities are using different tariff system to charge their constituents, while we know that Eskom is obviously charging the same tariff to all municipalities. Right. That's the first observation that we have made. But also, still on the tariff system, some municipalities, their tariff model is not in such a way that it allows them to recoup the cost of providing this service. So these are basic problems that we think we can entertain. But furthermore, we have also realized that the issue of old, dilapidated infrastructure is also impacting negatively on how municipalities are handling this service. So we think that through our collaborative effort with affected municipalities, working together with their provincial leadership, we'll be able to resolve some of these perennial problems that are encountered by municipalities. Okay,
but just looking at the whole case, Minister, do you agree with the reasons for Eskom switching off this power supply, or do you think perhaps they could have found another way of handling this?
Remember, this is not like an instantaneous development. It's a development that came as a result of a gradual process that has been followed by Eskom to pursue municipalities just to settle their debt. It started with engagements up to a situation where Eskom instituted an official notices, notifying municipalities about their intention, to switch off. But also Eskom continued to be very considerate because firstly, it's also offering its support to municipalities, working together with ourselves as to how municipalities can address this particular problem. And it goes further to say we are not switching it off completely. They give the schedule for the switch off, and these are called municipalities to do an appropriate planning. But also affected consumers, which is very, very much unfortunate because now some of the consumers who are paying are also affected by this. So it accords them an opportunity also to plan their days accordingly. But we must appreciate the fact that since Eskom issued notices of disconnection, we have seen improvement in as far as the settlement of this debt is concerned. As we speak now, only one municipality where we are still working with the provincial government and the necessary municipal leadership to make sure that this matter is attended is Naledi municipality in the northwest.
Right. So Eskom has this is a well thought out process. They followed due process with regards to this threat of turning off electricity. But what other reasons have you cited that these municipalities are facing that's making it so difficult for them to honour their debts?
Well, the reasons vary from one municipality to the other. But one of the common reasons here, of course, is lack of revenue. We still find municipalities where consumers are not paying their services. That's a common one. That's why we urge municipalities to enforce strict credit control mechanisms. But also we still find because of a metering system that is not appropriate. And most of the municipalities are using conventional metering system. And that's why we are urging them that they must use prepaid metering system. And of course, because most of them, they don't have money, the capital for the capital layout of such infrastructure. We are working with ESCOM to see if we can come to an agreement of an appropriate investment approach that will ensure that we avail capital to these municipalities, to, of course, install prepaid meters. Because one of the key observations that we have made as the ministry is that where prepaid meters are installed and are not tampered with, municipalities are able to obviously realize stable revenue from such services. But where conventional meters are used, but also meters that can be easily tampered with are used, that's where we picked up a problem of revenue not being realized. So as a result, this lead municipalities to continue accruing this debt, this ESCOM debt. And so we are working together with municipalities to make sure that this issue is entertained. But ESCOM is also on board to help us, technically.
Okay. Prepaid meters appear to be a long-term solution, which eventually will be achieved, obviously, if you apply your minds to it. In terms of a short-term solution, what instructions have you given municipalities so that they don't go through this problem again?
Well, short term, we are working with them now to deal with the issue of the tariffing system, because that's where the main problem is. Their tariffing is not truly corresponding to the cost of the service that they are rendering. Some of the tariff system that is employed doesn't take all the costs that they incur as a result of providing this service. So we are working with them to make sure that as they develop their tariffs, they take into consideration the cost of rendering this service. But also as they make submission to NERSA for tariffs to be approved, they also take into consideration that they provide appropriate information for NERSA to come to a suitable conclusion that will allow them to recoup the cost of providing this service. So that's one of the immediate solution that we are looking at now as we speak.
Right. The DA has weighed in on this issue as well, perhaps making it political, requesting the AG to investigate into perhaps mismanagement at non-paying municipalities. How do you respond to that?
Look, the issue of mismanagement is not something that should be triggered, in as far as I'm concerned, by this. Mismanagement, observing and dealing with issues of mismanagement is an ongoing process, and we have been dealing with this thing. Cases, that have been dealt with so far clearly indicate that our efforts of dealing with issues of mismanagement are paying off. So the issue of using this situation as a trigger for mismanagement, I think is a bit misplaced.
Right. So you do agree that at some level there's mismanagement of funds at municipalities?
Look, cases that we have dealt with hitherto are confirming that. Okay. But what I'm saying is that we should separate issues. Right. Here we are speaking of the municipal debt that is owed to ESCOM as a result of municipalities being unable to pay electricity as provided by ESCOM. So these are two separate issues.
They do not affect each other.
Should not be used opportunistically. Should not be utilized opportunistically.
Okay. Outside of taking advantage of the situation, making it political, like the DA, do you agree that perhaps this affects the way municipalities, pay their bills to ESCOM?
What affects
mismanagement of funds? That's what we're talking about.
No, of course, if in some cases, as you know, mismanagement imply utilization of resources not in an appropriate fashion. So definitely, if paying creditors is one of those particular provisions, then definitely that will be reflected. But our findings are indicating that this is not the major contributing factor to non-payment of services. Here we are speaking of technical issues, but also tariff models that are not appropriate.
Right. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. That's Cocta Minister Des van Rooyen. They're just talking to us about the defaulting municipalities and the agreement that they have come up with the ESCOM. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.